Well, when it comes to living on the road, it can be an initially fun and exciting thought process to sell your belongings, downsize, and hit the road, or to get out of your house, keep a home base, and just go on a traveling journey. And both are good, both have value. But for those who are thinking about not having a home base and living full-time on the road, I want to share with you these few things you should do to prepare for the road. One is, if you're going to be a full-time nomad, the first thing you need to do is to prepare how to get off the road. That may sound strange, you're preparing to get off the road before you even get on it, but the key is always having an exit strategy. Because if you don't have options when you're on the road on how to get off the road, that's like basically being destitute. You're basically forced into a lifestyle rather than choosing. And that's a big difference. Okay? So the first step to getting off the road is to have enough money to get off the road. And I would recommend $10,000 in savings. Why that amount? Well, if you're going to rent an apartment at the very least to get off the road, you're usually going to need first and last month's security deposit. And, that's going to be a few $1,000s right there. Plus, there's always some logistical cost of moving. And you always want to have at least $5,000 always sitting in the bank for car repairs, emergencies, etc. So $10,000 in a savings account is a strategy on how to get off the road, because you can pretty much ensure that you could fluidly transition. However, remember, if you had to get off the road and sign a lease, some landlords want to see proof of income. They want to see that you have the stability and resources to pay rent. So don't just think just having $10,000 is enough to get off the road in many instances. And if you're going to stay at a hotel, you'll burn through that money in a few months. So just be mindful, okay? So obviously the other way, if financially you couldn't get off the road, you'd have to be on some type of subsidized house, subsidized apartment. In America, if you're low income, then you can qualify possibly, or if you're disabled, you can qualify possibly for a subsidized house, or an apartment, I should say, where you're only paying about 30% of the rent. So as an example, if the rent was $1,000, you're only paying $300 a month. Now, some of the waiting lists may be long, depending on your circumstance. If you have no kids, if you're only 50% disabled, if you have other assets, then you're not going to be high on the priority list. Usually the people high on the priority list are people who have a couple kids, they're already homeless, they don't have anything, they have proof they have nothing, obviously, because they're in a higher need of emergency, right? So those are all factors that you have to consider. So without the option to get off the road, if an emergency comes, if you get sick, hurt, injured, if you get too old, if there's a pandemic, you may have to scramble to go live with a family member you don't like, to go live with a friend that's going to be very toxic. So, it's something to consider. Do people get on the road without knowing how to get off of it? Some do, but it's usually very volatile and toxic. Because again, it's very hard to create a healthy lifestyle when you yourself are not making healthy choices. And getting on the road without at least knowing how you would get off is very unhealthy, very unwise, very reckless. And long-term, making consistently reckless decisions does not pay off. You could beat the odds once in a while, but you're not going to consistently beat the odds, because the odds are the odds for a reason. You're going against statistical fact. So again, you can pull it off once in a while, but not consistently. So that's number one, prepare to get off the road. Number two, prepare on where you would sleep for the first 1 to 3 months on the road. Do you know someone's property that they're going to allow you to sleep? Do you have something worked out with your work situation where they're going to allow you to sleep? Do you have a local gym, a local truck stop that you kind of know you can sleep there in your car? Remember, it's legal to live in your car in most instances, but it's illegal to sleep overnight in your car in certain places. So you have to navigate that gray area, and that's the hardest part as a nomad, to having a safe, legal place to park. So you want to scout the land. You don't want to ask people online. Why? Guys, it's like, you got to do the research yourself. This is your life, okay? And you got to do that research. And there's no exact answer. No one can tell you could park here and never have to move. If they do, they're lying to you, or it's a bad area. So just be mindful. You got it. The nomadic life is keeping a level of movement. And if you get a knock on the door, you're willing to move. You're not willing to be nasty. Got to remember that, okay? Number 3, preparing to get on the road, is have some idea on how you're going to make income, okay? Do you already have a job? If you don't already have a job and you're thinking about how you're going to make money on the road, you're probably going to fail. Why? Because it's very hard to start a career while you're on the road and you've already developed a habit of not working. So I would say that's a negative. Certainly there's DoorDash, Uber, Instacart, but again, if you're not already working and if you're not already doing DoorDash, Uber, Instacart, you're probably going to just get the red card, the bag, and you're going to have a low acceptance rate and you're not going to make much money. That's the fact in most instances. So, you got to ask yourself that. Are you willing? Like I said, to me, you should already have a job. If you need to try to get a remote job transfer, apply for it. It may take a couple years. I know that was my case. Do DoorDash right now where you're at. If you're living on Social Security or some type of disability, you already know, guys, it's very hard. You're going to spend more money on the road. I'm not saying you can't do it, but I'm saying be mindful. Now, you may have other assets where you can do it. If you're retired, if you're disabled, or if you're retired early, and you can live on the road without working and you have a budget and you've shown to be disciplined, then don't worry about this step. But most people are not in that situation. So just be mindful that you cannot live any life without financial freedom. And you don't get financial freedom by just living in your car. You cannot shop at the Dollar Tree and get ahead, okay? And certainly, guys, you can figure out how to live in your car on bare bones. But it's like, guys, you could also figure out how to sleep in the woods and eat out of a dumpster. I mean, you can do a lot of things in life. You got to figure out what type of life you want to live, right? So this is what we're talking about, preparation. Preparation shows that you care about the statistical outcome of your future. You give some thought to your life. You're not reckless. We all need the grace of God. We all make bad decisions, but preparation is effort in showing that you give serious thought and effort into what your future may look like. And I hope this video helped. If it did, click that thumbs up, share the video, click the blue join button. You want to support the channel. Check out my playlist, thousands of free videos. Keep showing up. Don't let people bully you out of your best life, whether in real life or online. Don't fight them, but keep showing up, document abuse, and go forward, 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 forward. I've never met a troll. I've never met a nasty person who's good looking, successful, and has good mental health. It's the opposite. Every troll, every bully has bad mental health, not successful. No one wants to deal with them, so they want to tear you down so that they can get some of your energy in your response so that they can feel important. But it's not your job to take care of them. Why? You're not a mental health worker. And even if you were, you wouldn't take them home with you. Never forget it. God bless.